The bank called. Your wife is here with a man who looks just like you. The moment I found out, I did not scream, did not cry, did not confront. I sat at my kitchen table, folded my hands, and I did not say a single word for 6 hours, because I had learned something in 60 years that they had not. Silence is not surrender. Silence is a strategy. Before we go any further, subscribe to Revenge Handler. This channel exists for every father and grandfather who gave their best years to this family and got betrayal in return. If that hits close to home, you are exactly where you need to be. Hit subscribe right now, because what I am about to tell you, you need to hear it all the way through. My name is Raymond. I am 58 years old. I am a father. I built everything I have from nothing. This is my story. Get comfortable, because the people in this story had every single chance to do the right thing. They chose wrong every time. Drop a comment below. Make sure you are subscribed. You are going to love it here. And if you think you already know where this is going, you don't. Not even close. The phone rang at 11:14 in the morning. I was at my desk. A Thursday. Nothing special about that Thursday. The caller ID said First National Bank. I almost did not pick up. I almost let it go to voicemail. But I picked up. Sir, are you Raymond Holloway? I said yes. Sir, I apologize for this call. Your wife is here at our branch. She is opening a joint account with a man who looks a great deal like you. I did not say anything. For about 4 seconds. Nothing at all. Then I said, how old is he? The woman on the line paused. Sir, he appears to be around your age. Maybe a year or two younger. I said, thank you for calling. And I hung up. My hand was shaking. Not a little. A lot. I set the phone face down on the desk. I stared at the wall. I did not move for 11 minutes. I know exactly because I watched the clock. Not thinking. Just watching the second hand move. Because my mind could not hold a single thought. Not one. Let me take you back to where this started. Margaret and I have been married 31 years. 31. 2 daughters. A house we paid off early. A life I believe was built on something solid. I worked construction management for 26 years. Got up before sunrise. Came home. Put money in the right places. I was not perfect. I want to say that now, before anything else. I missed school plays. I worked weekends I should have taken off. But I was present. I was faithful. Every single day, I was faithful. She started saying his name about 8 months before that phone call. Dennis, a man from her book club. She said he was funny. Said he had been through a hard divorce. Said she felt sorry for him. I thought nothing of it. That was my first mistake. I thought nothing of it at all. She started coming home later. First it was book club nights. Then coffee with the group. Then just later. No explanation. Just later. I asked once. She said I was being suspicious. For no reason. I backed down. That was my second mistake. I backed down and said nothing. Because I trusted her. Because 31 years felt like proof. It was not proof. It was just time. And time means nothing to a person who has already decided. And that was just the beginning. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from right now? And stay with me. Because this story is only getting started. If you're just joining, go back and watch from the start. Because what I am about to tell you only makes sense if you know what came before. I did not go to the bank that day. I want to be clear about that. I sat at my desk for 2 more hours. I did not call her, did not drive over, did not do anything a man is supposed to do in that moment. I just sat there, and I am not proud of that. But that is what happened. That night, she came home at 6:47. I know because I was watching the driveway. She walked in smiling, kissed me on the cheek, asked what I wanted for dinner, and I said, whatever you feel like. like nothing had happened, like I had not spent 6 hours at that desk losing my mind. That was my bad decision. Right there, I should have said something. I should have looked her in the eye and asked her, but I did not. I smiled back, and I let her cook dinner, and I sat at that table with my daughters, and I ate, and I said nothing. The next morning I called my brother Carl. Carl is 2 years younger than me. He has never been a patient man. I told him what the bank lady said. All of it. He said, "Ray, you need to get a lawyer today. Not tomorrow. Today." I told him to slow down. He said, "She is moving money, Raymond. That is not a confused woman. That is a woman with a plan." I did not want to hear that. I told him he was jumping ahead. He got loud. I hung up on him. That was the second bad decision in 2 days. I should have listened. I should have called a lawyer that morning. Instead, I called no one, and I went to work. 2 weeks passed. Nothing. She was warm, present. She made my coffee the way I like it. She asked about my back. She sat close to me on the couch. And for about 4 days, I almost convinced myself the bank lady was wrong, that it was a misunderstanding, that 31 years was real. I wanted it to be real. That is the part one I'm not ashamed of, wanting it to be real. Then my daughter called me. My oldest, Priya, she is 30 now. She called me on a Tuesday afternoon. She said, "Dad, I need to tell you something, and I need you to stay calm when I say it." I said, "Tell me." She paused, a long pause, the kind that has weight behind it. I saw Mom last Saturday at the farmer's market on Elm. She was with a man. They were holding hands. Dad. I did not want to say anything. I thought maybe I was wrong, but I have been sitting with it for 6 days, and I cannot sit with it anymore. I did not say anything for a long time. Then I said, "You did the right thing, baby. You did the right thing." And I hung up, and I went to the bathroom, and I locked the door, and I sat on the edge of the tub, and I put my face in my hands. And I did not come out for 40 minutes. That was the moment it stopped being a phone call from a stranger. That was the moment it became real. My daughter had seen it, had carried it alone for 6 days, because she did not want to break me. That is what broke me. If this is hitting close to home, give this video a like right now. You know exactly what I mean, because what Priya told me next, I was not ready for. Not even close. Still with me? Good, because this is where everything changes. Priya did not stop at the farmer's market. She said, "Dad, I need to tell you the rest." I said, "Tell me all of it." She took a breath. I recognized him. I had seen him before, at the house, last Thanksgiving. Mom introduced him as a friend from her book club. You were in the garage with Uncle Carl. He was inside, in our house, at our table. Dad, he was there. I sat on the edge of that tub, and I did not move. He had been in my house, eaten at my table, while I was 20 feet away in the garage. That night, I almost want to find him. I want to say that plainly. I looked up his name. Dennis Farwell, financial advisor, divorced, lived 12 minutes from my house. 12 minutes. I sat in my truck in the driveway for an hour and 40 minutes. Engine running. Going nowhere. I had his address pulled up on my phone. I almost did something I could not take back. And the only reason I did not was because of Priya. Because I thought about what it would cost her. So I turned the engine off. And I went back inside. And I am glad I did. The next morning I called a lawyer. Her name was Patricia Osei. Family law. 20 years experience. I told her everything. She did not flinch. Did not offer sympathy. She just said, "Do you have access to your joint accounts?" I said yes. She said, "Log in today. Screenshot everything. Do not move a single dollar. Not yet. Just document." I did exactly that. What I found took the air out of the room. Over the previous 7 months, Margaret had moved $63,000. Quietly, gradually, small amounts, never enough to trigger a flag. She had been planning this for a long time. This was not a woman who lost her way. This was a woman who had already decided where she was going. I sat with that for 3 days. 3 days of knowing everything and saying nothing. She made my coffee. I drank it. She asked how my back was. I said fine. She sat close to me on the couch. I let her because Patricia told me to wait. Wait for the right moment. Do not tip your hand. So I waited, and I want to tell you, that was the hardest thing I have ever done. Harder than anything on any job site. Harder than any physical thing in my life. Sitting across from a woman I built 31 years with, knowing what I knew, and saying nothing. There was one moment where I almost let it go. A Saturday morning. She brought me coffee without being asked, set it down, touched my shoulder, and for about 15 seconds, I almost said nothing, ever. I almost decided the life we had built was worth more than the truth, that my daughters needed their parents together, that $63,000 was just money. 15 seconds. That is all it was. Then she walked back to the kitchen, and she picked up her phone, and she smiled at something on the screen, a private smile, the kind that is not meant for you. And the 15 seconds ended. Patricia called me on a Wednesday. She said the paperwork was ready. She said the financial documentation was solid. She said, Raymond, we are ready when you are. I said, give me one more week. She said, why? I said, because I want to be certain about all of it. She said, you are already certain. She was right. I just needed to hear myself say it was time. And that week, something happened that made the decision for me. Something I did not see coming. We are almost at the end. Subscribe if you have not yet, because what happens next is something I have never told anyone. You stayed. Good. Because this right here is why patience is a weapon. The thing I did not see coming was simple. Dennis Farwell made a mistake. One mistake. He called our home phone. Not our cell. Our home phone. The one in the kitchen. I picked up. He did not know my voice. He said, Margaret. I said, she is not available. Silence. Then he hung up. I stood in that kitchen for a long time. He had called my house, used my phone line, the one I paid for, the one attached to the address where I raised my daughters. That was the moment the 15 seconds of doubt died completely. Every last second of it, gone. I called Patricia that same afternoon. I said, I am ready. She said, I will file tomorrow morning. I said, do it. Margaret was served on a Thursday. 11 in the morning. I was not there. Patricia advised me not to be. I was at a diner 2 miles away, drinking bad coffee, alone. My hands were not shaking this time. I want to note that. My hands were completely still. She called me 47 times that day. I answered once. On the 47th call, I said, Patricia Osei is my attorney. All questions go to her. And I hung up. The financial documentation destroyed her position entirely. $63,000 moved deliberately over 7 months. Judges do not look kindly on that. Patricia did not need to say much in that room. The record said everything. Every transfer, every date, every amount. Margaret had been meticulous, and that meticulousness became the rope she hung herself with. The very thing she used to hide it was the thing that proved it. She lost a claim to half the house, lost the retirement accounts she thought she had already won. Dennis Farwell, the man she had built a plan around, left within 3 months of the filing. I did not celebrate that. I want to be honest. There was no satisfaction in it, just a quiet recognition that a man who enters through a side door rarely stays once the front door closes. Now, here is the part one promised you. The part that cost me something I did not expect. My younger daughter, Sasha, took her mother's side. Not immediately, but over time. She stopped calling, stopped coming for dinners. I lost something there that the legal victory did not replace. I want to say that plainly. You can win everything in a courtroom and still walk home to a quiet house. And that quiet costs something. Something real. I am still paying it. My oldest, Priya, she calls every Sunday. Without fail, every Sunday. And some days that one call is the whole week. I am not going to tell you I am fine. I am not going to perform peace for you. What I will tell you is this. I wake up every morning. I drink my coffee. I go to work. I built something real once. I know how to build. I will build again. They forgot one thing about quiet old men. We remember everything. If this story moved you, subscribe to Revenge Handler. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below, because your story matters too. I will see you in the next one.